Huntington XL 92.5 FM.
Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. It's the Frangie Show minus Frank Frangie. He is on vacation, but he will be back either Monday or Tuesday, depending how Florida's game against Auburn goes. But we are pleased to have Hacker with us again, and JJ LaSelva, obviously running things for us. I'm Hays Carlyon. Hacker, good to see you, man. How's everything going?
Yeah, we are, just about 24 hours away, a little over 24 hours away from the Final Four. I'll tell you this, Hays. I don't know if I've ever been more prepared for a Final Four game in my life. 2 hours with you every day. 2 hours on Hacker After
Man,
Dark.
You've been an Iron Man
I mixed in a little Gator Bites podcast for about 40 minutes this morning.
Did you do a Duval rundown?
I did a Duval rundown as well. Talked to little Gators on that one. So I got to tell you, man, I am ready for 6:09 tomorrow night.
Your voice is impeccable.
Man, I'm getting after it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good stuff. That is quite a work week, and we certainly appreciate it. It's been fantastic having you on, and we'll certainly look forward to it in the future. You'll be on next week with Frank, right?
Yeah, no, and I love it. All kidding aside, I love it, and it's been a great week because of Florida. But, I mean, heck, next week we're going to recap Florida, hopefully preview a national championship game, and, oh, by the way, on Tuesday, the Jacksonville Jaguars come in for off-season workouts. So it's a great time of year.
Without a doubt. And we're getting closer to that draft luncheon that the Jaguars will have. That should be very enlightening as we get used to the kind of the process and the new administration. And certainly we got a great look at that last night. Just to set the scene for you before we dive in, Pete Prisco is going to join us at 5 o'clock to talk Jaguars and NFL. And we've got a lot of stuff we're going to cover, obviously previewing Florida's Final Four matchup against Auburn. And we will give our reactions to what we've seen with the Jaguars and touch on, I want to get to a bunch of things today. Florida spring football, do a couple of quick thoughts on just some nuggets that have happened over the last 24 hours. So we have a lot to get to. But Hack, I want to start with the hunt. I know you've had a chance on your show to sort of weigh in with your comments from what you saw. But what stood out to you the most in watching the 36-minute Jaguar production?
Well, the Jaguars.com folks do such a good job with that every single year. And there were a lot of things. Like, I really appreciated the Liam Cohen piece back at his home state in Rhode Island with his grandparents. I thought that was really cool. I was very, very close to my grandmother, so I certainly appreciated that. And I like the Baselli angle, so a lot of the things he said, James Gladstone too. But I think the one thing in the 36 minutes that it aired was Tony Baselli in that staff meeting after Liam Cohen had addressed the coaches, and he said, Tony, you got anything to add? And Baselli basically goes, I see similarities between right now and 1995 when I came here and we had no tradition, we had nothing, and it was, building it up from the ground level. And he said he sees similarities, which is why he took the EVP job, ground zero, as he called it. And I thought, whoa. If that's Mr. Jaguar, Tony Baselli saying that, man, it just goes to show you how bad things were, and you're basically having to rebuild it back up. Now, it's nice to have a rebuild with Trevor Lawrence as your quarterback, and there's certainly some nice pieces on the team, but I think that just verified to me that we are absolutely in the midst of a rebuild.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I thought it was really interesting that was how Tony framed it. We'd heard the comment in the trailer, but we didn't know the context of exactly what is he talking about? Are we talking about a specific position, or are we talking about the organization as a whole? And as it turned out, we're talking about the organization as a whole, and it makes sense. The culture here has not been strong for many years, and that's not a Trent Baalke, Doug Peterson thing. That obviously it was awful the year Urban Meyer was here, because I don't even know why he took this job, because he obviously had no curiosity about the NFL. Mm-hmm. So so that was something that was obviously difficult. The last stages of the Coughlin, Marone, Caldwell was incredibly dysfunctional after the initial success. So it really has been. I mean, if you're Tony Baselli, you've had a front view, a close-up view of really a lot of dysfunction, forgetting even roster decisions, just how well the organization is getting along. And again, Trent Baalke's kind of the face of that, but those problems existed before his arrival. And he just, I think, kind of kept the string going. And I thought one of the more interesting comments that we hadn't heard, it wasn't in the trailer, was towards the end, and Baselli talking about after they'd interviewed Liam, after they'd the 36-minute documentary had given you the Liam Cohen background. It had given you the James Gladstone background and kind of was wrapping up the episode. And Tony said, this is about trust and us building our relationships and making them stronger. And his line was something to the effect of, if we can do that, if we can keep that trust and that continuity and that cohesiveness, we can solve any problem that comes our way. And I thought that was a great point because, again, this is just football. We're not trying to build a rocket and go to Mars here. This is just football. Now it's incredibly competitive. There's 31 other teams that, have smart people. And, and some of those 31 have already built great rosters that you've got to go catch up to and eventually surpass if you're going to win the Lombardi Trophy. But I thought that was a great way to frame it. Like, we can figure out any problem that comes our way because it's football and we all love football and we all have obviously a great mind for football. I'm talking about the leadership in that building. And honestly, you would think that's such a obvious thing to have. And, well, of course, they haven't had that in years. And, again, that's not only a Doug Peterson, Trent Baalke issue. It goes back 2 different versions of an administration. Really, I think going back to probably early Gus Bradley, Dave Caldwell. I mean, in terms of the last time the coach and the GM, and obviously there was no EVP then, it had a sense of harmony and a similar vision, and I think were aligned. But this is, I think, even stronger because Baselli is EVP. I mean, it really is a shame that didn't come to fruition 5 years ago, because again, I don't want to draw too much off of a 36-minute documentary, but from an outsider's perspective, it looks like Tony Baselli was exactly what they needed.
No, I agree. And you look at Tony Baselli, he hasn't played a football game for the Jacksonville Jaguars in over 25 years. It's a quarter century, last time I checked. The Jaguars have gone to the playoffs 4 times since Tony Baselli was a player in 25 years, and only twice in the last 18 seasons. 2 division titles in 25 years since Tony Baselli left. And I think sometimes, we've been so desperate for a winner here, media, fans alike. Sometimes I think we try to put lipstick on a pig with this organization because they have been the worst organization in football over the last 2 decades. It's either them or Cleveland, right? And they've absolutely been the worst since 2012 because Cleveland's got 9 more wins than them. Cleveland ranks 31st in wins since 2012. The Jaguars are dead last, 9 fewer than the Cleveland Browns. So for a guy like Tony Baselli to go out there and kind of say, hey, I see similarities right now between when I arrived here in 1995 and talking about this is ground zero, building it up. Now, again, in 1995, there was no Trevor Lawrence. There was no Joshua Hines-Allen, no Trayvon Walker. There are certainly some foundational pieces to work with here, but it needs to be a total and complete cleanse of this organization, which I think why is the reason you saw 10 outside free agents, not re-signing any of your own guys. I mean, anybody they can get rid of, they basically have gotten rid of. Next offseason is going to be the same thing. I think you're going to see departures from Eric Armstead and maybe Savage, Gabe Davis. Who knows about some other guys? ETN's another one, right? I mean, they're eschewing out the past and bringing in a future. I mean,
Ezra Cleveland and Walker Little, who may not be long for this organization as we speak now.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, it has been rotten here with the Jaguars for a long, long time. And I don't fault Shad Khan for that. I think he has certainly tried. Just the guys he has brought in have not done a good job. And by the way, the guys that were brought in between 2012, Jack Del Rio did a average job. Obviously, he was here probably too long. Malarkey was awful in the 1 year he was here. So it is a complete cleanse of the organization, which I think was outlined last night.
And again, this goes back to a topic that we've talked about multiple times this week. I mean, I don't know how you watch that and don't think that a left tackle is absolutely in play at 5, which would make perfect sense. Look, I mean, and the way, and not that Baselli's making the pick, but again, I go back to if Tony Baselli was pretty much convinced 30 seconds into hearing Liam Cohen for the first time that this is our guy, what do you think Liam Cohen said? in those 30 seconds or whatever it was. I mean, if that's a figure of speech. But the point is, my bet is it was the offensive line is an expansion level offensive line, and we can't fix everything in one offseason, but we can fix that with the ammunition that we have. And look, who knows if Will Campbell or Armand Mimbo, I mean, one of those guys will definitely be there at 5. And who knows if either one of those guys fits what they're looking for. But I've got I never really thought it would be an offensive lineman because I thought Walker Little, because of the contract, because of, the youth, that they'd probably say, you know what, we have so many other issues that we're going to see what he can do. And we'll figure it out after, we give them a year. I just don't know that that's where they're at. I don't know, based on what I've seen, that Tony Boselli, Liam Cohen, and James Gladstone are going to let Trent Baalke decide their left tackle because Baalke decided to give this guy an extension in November or whenever it was.
Yeah, my thing, too, though, is Will Campbell, absolutely. I would take him at 5. I have reservations about Mimbo. I have reservations about Kelvin Banks. Those are the other 2 offensive linemen that are projected to go that high. If Will Campbell's there at 5, I would be fine with that. If Will Campbell's not there, well, then there's a conversation to be had. Because I don't want to draft an offensive lineman just for the sake of drafting an offensive lineman. Now, how's this scenario for you? And I was thinking about this today. And truthfully, I had a guy on from the Draft Network probably 2 or 3 weeks ago named Mason Johnstone. He's a really interesting story. He actually played on the Clemson football team the last 4 years. He's only like 23. Went right from Dabo Sweeney's roster to being a scout for the Draft Network. So very, very early in the process of his scouting career. He put out a mock draft. And the only reason I thought about it today was because of Colorado's Pro Day. And he put out a mock draft that had Jacksonville and Pittsburgh trading. Pittsburgh trading up from 21 to 5 to draft Shedeur Sanders. Jacksonville then traded back to 21, received, I believe, a 3rd and a 2/5 this year, and got the Steelers 1st, 2nd, and 4th next year. Or so. It was a crazy haul to move back 16 picks. And in that 21st slot, he had him taking Ted McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona. But what if they were to trade out of 5, whether it's to 21 or to 9 or wherever, get more picks, accumulate draft capital, grab an offensive lineman then? I would feel awfully good about that. I got to tell you, it takes 2 to tango. But if Shedeur Sanders gets out of the top 4, whether it's New Orleans potentially, whether it's Pittsburgh, I get a feeling someone's going to call the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I would listen at that point. Because if this is truly a rebuild, then it doesn't matter who you take at 5. You're several players away. Accumulate as many draft picks as you possibly can.
Well, and you make a great point because the more, and I would absolutely trade back if I was the Jaguars and I got an offer that was, based on their charts and things like that. If it lined up, I'd absolutely trade
Any
back.
trepidation about all the way to 21?
Not at all.
Okay.
For me, because of what you're saying. And James Gladstone said this at the Combine. They want as many at-bats as they can get. Now, they've got 21 right now over the next 2 drafts, and that's an outstanding number. But, yeah, I mean, if you could add, because to your point, the more draft picks I have, the more rookies I draft, the more of these veterans I can push out. Mm-hmm. And it's clear that at least the EVP believes that the well's kind of spoiled. And look, it's not necessarily these players' fault. Most of them have only known losing here. At least in 95, there wasn't that. Everybody was just coming in and it was new. And there was nothing, there wasn't stats like you've only won 2 division titles in, 2 decades or
2 division titles in 25 years.
In 25 years.
Yeah.
He didn't have that. It was just new. And obviously it was going to be hard, but it was new. You weren't having to defend previous failures. Whereas now you are. I mean, if you're a veteran in this locker room, you have not seen a lot of good times here. And I do think over the course of time, that can wear on you. So, again, the more players that you bring in, obviously it increases the odds that you're going to, have a couple of draft hauls where you're getting 5 or 6 really nice players, just percentage-wise. But it also allows you to maybe push some guys out a little earlier, not necessarily your stars, but the guys that are sort of those fringe players that right now we would view as, well, you can't get rid of him, but if you bring in a talented rookie that can push him, well, then, yeah, you can. So
I think the actions of Gladstone and Cohen They're not going to say it publicly because you don't trash other people publicly, but their actions say to me, what an indictment by the job that Trent Baalke and the staff did here with this roster.
And I think just the disconnect. I mean, again, I think Doug Peterson was pretty checked out.
Oh, yeah.
And resting on his laurels this last year. Obviously, Trent Baalke only cared about protecting his job. And so you just, if you're a veteran in this locker room, you've had to go through Urban Meyer, who is probably the worst NFL head coach that we've ever seen. And then, yes, it was good early with Doug and Trent, but we all knew that was not going to last because of Baalke's history.
Well,
it didn't.
Yeah, the thing about that, too, Hays, and again, I love that 22 run. When they were 4-8, the quarterbacks they beat to get to 9-8, it was Josh Dobbs, who was in Tennessee for 2 weeks. They beat
Zach Wilson
in New York, and that caveman guy that came in, the guy replaced Zach Wilson in New York, Stradler or something.
Right, yeah.
Remember that guy?
Yeah,
that guy was huge.
He was.
And I've never even heard of him before, and I don't think he played anymore after that game.
No.
They beat him with the Jets. They beat Davis Mills in Houston. I mean, they got lucky towards the end of that season. Now, they came back from 27 down to beat Herbert, which is great. But getting into the playoffs, that was fool's gold, I think.
Without a doubt. When we come back on the Frangie Show, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk some Gators Final Four and maybe get to a couple other college hoops topics. Big addition for FSU in the portal from a local school here. So we will get to that as well. You're listening to the Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
He's your knight in sporting armor.
I wish to appoint a new sheriff of Rottingham. My friend,
Ryan the Hacker Green.
I didn't get dressed up for nothing.
Giving you another reason to listen longer. After Rick Ballou, evenings on 1010XL.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie. If you have a sweet tooth like me, the sweetest desserts in town come from Spoonful Bakery. Spoonful is an online bakery. They deliver boxes of assorted desserts right to your home or office. They're so good, and they make for great gifts for friends or clients. And if you want custom orders, wedding cakes or birthday cakes, or catered desserts for an event, they are the best. Log on to spoonful-bakery.com or call them at 904-515-4984. That's Spoonful Bakery for the sweetest desserts in town.
Before you buy that diamond ring at one of those mega national chain jewelry stores, get a second opinion and save money at Beard's Diamonds.
We will beat anybody's price anywhere.
Meet John Lupo, owner of Beard's Diamonds, the town center's only locally owned jeweler with international connections.
We go directly right to the cutters. There is no middlemen, no wholesalers. It goes from the cutter to the consumer.
And John says Beard's selection is second to none.
You'll walk in the store and you'll see more diamonds, more bracelets, more earrings than anywhere in Jacksonville. I guarantee it.
And at Beard's Diamonds, you get a lifetime warranty and a nationwide price protection guarantee.
You can buy with confidence at Beard's. Everything comes with a money-back guarantee, and we will make sure you're 100% satisfied. We stand behind everything all the time.
All this plus no commission salespeople and a total no-pressure experience.
We want you to be a Beard's customer, and we'll do anything to get it.
Beard's Diamonds, a refreshing alternative to mega chain jewelers.
Everybody gets a good deal at Beard's.
Call the deck guys if you want a brand new deck pavers or more. Call 904-813-2474.
TheDeckGuysJacks.com.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
Legends are made and history is written at Augusta.
It's been one of the greatest days in Masters history.
Catch Masters updates on 1010XL. Served up by St. John's Middle School Athletic Association and TopDressing.com.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it and send them a McCune floral arrangement. RJ here with 1010XL, and you'll be assured of a quality delivery. That's for sure. Log on and order online at CuneFlowers.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Charles.
6.
Oh, so close. Betty for the steal.
What about the bank that helps you reach your financial goals? Synovus.
Let's see, judges. Yes, looks like we have a winner.
That's a number?
Sorry, Charlie. Remember, a solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Talk with Synovus about your potential today. Brought to you by Synovus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The number was 4.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Man, don't let your yard be torn up by that heavy aeration machine this spring. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to learn more about our granular aeration. Broadcast throughout the tree and shrubs to break up that compacted soil. Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. You've heard us talk about it. Window World, the #1 window replacement company in the USA, selling over 1 million windows each year for the past 8 years.
That's a lot of satisfied customers and why J.D. Powers has awarded Window World Best in Customer Satisfaction 3 out of 4 years.
Window World stands behind their slogan, simply the best for less. With Window World, you get top quality windows at a price that leaves more of your money in your bank account, and you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement industry. When compared to our competition, there is none. See for yourself. Call the competition. Get quotes from them. But before you buy, get Window World's free estimate and compare the quality of the windows and the price.
You'll see.
And when your new Window World windows are installed and they're saving you money on your energy bills, if anything goes wrong with those windows, Window World and I will be there to make it right. That's my guarantee.
Call Window World today. Start saving money on your new windows and your energy bills and take vacation with your savings. Window World, online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors and siding. Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now back to a Big Chief Tire Friday on The Frangie Show. Big Chief Tire. Visit BigChiefService.com.
What a great song. Dire Straits. You know this one? Sultans of Swing?
I've heard it a couple times.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Welcome back to the Frangie Show. That is Hacker. He's our resident musical expert.
There's no doubt. That's my name. In the dictionary. You want to talk about a music encyclopedia? My picture is right next to that.
Absolutely. We've got JJ LaSelva. JJ playing that fine tune for us, and lots to get to. So we've talked about this all week. Florida in the Final Four, going against Auburn. There's one element of the game that we've kind of mentioned, but I was curious, so in diving into it a little bit more, the presence of Elijah Martin tomorrow night, Hacker, when you look at what not only he's been for Florida this season, and we've talked about, well, he's been to a Final Four before. I'd forgotten, not only has he been to a Final Four, I've forgotten how productive he was in that Final Four. It's been 2 years. It was April 1st of 2023 when FAU played San Diego State in the Final Four. Elijah Martin on that FAU squad. He had 26 points and 7 boards that night. I mean, again, that's the kind of thing, like if that happens tomorrow night, boy, Florida's chances of winning that game go to about, in my opinion, like 85% if you get that kind of a game out of him. So it's not only that he's been to this stage before, he shined.
He has shined, and he got his heart ripped out. You want to talk about a guy that's going to die on that court tomorrow night to try to win the game? That's Elijah Martin. Remember that FAU San Diego State game? FAU lost at the buzzer. And if you go back and watch that game that San Diego State beat them a couple of years ago, Elijah Martin's in the still frame. I don't think he was actually guarding the guy. I think he was guarding the guy next to the guy that made the shot. But his one game in a Final Four, he was amazing, but his team lost at the buzzer on that stage. How many guys get a second opportunity to come back into the Final Four after losing at the buzzer? So I think Elijah Martin, you want to talk about motivation, very, very motivated. And I'll tell you something, Hays. Again, I don't know if this means anything, but from a Gator standpoint, I'm kind of getting the EBGBs about 2000 Michigan State vibes. Mm-hmm. You know how many seniors Auburn has on their basketball team of the 15, 16 guys?
Oh, wow. I have no idea.
They have 9.
I was going to say.
They're old.
Yeah.
They're old. They're like 23, 24, 25.
Now, that's most clubs nowadays.
Most clubs.
Yeah.
But when you're talking like the front court, and I know Florida's front court dominated them in February, but you got 23 and 24-year-old Auburn Tigers going up against 19 and 20-year-old Florida Gators. Hal, Condon, Chinyalu, Han-Lockton, I think they're all 20 and younger. Again, I don't know if that means anything, but I remember what I was like when I was 23. I was probably a little bit more seasoned than I was when I was 19 or 20.
Right.
So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. Yeah. This is a veteran Auburn team.
It is a good point. I would say a lot of the teams in the SEC were constructed that way. You'd like to think that won't bother them. But to your point, Auburn also is incredibly talented. So it's not just that they're older. They also have unbelievable collegiate talent, unbelievable collegiate production. It's certainly going to be a huge test for Florida. I think Florida wins the game. They're a 2.5-point favorite. I think the bookmakers are pretty close with that. I mean, I think we're looking at like 83-80 Gators, so I think razor thin could easily come down to the final shot of the game. Auburn presents about as many challenges as you could. And again, that's what's so beautiful about this Final Four. You could say that about Duke. You could say that about Houston. And you can certainly say it about Florida. I mean, what's the weakness on Florida? Like, what are you, if you're Bruce Pearl and you've studied them for 5 days and you've played them before, what are you trying to exploit? And there isn't much. I mean, they turn the ball over, but that's sort of something they do on their own.
Yeah.
Can you force them to do that? And it's going to be unbelievable. The other thing, too, that this is just astonishing to me, that Todd Golden has built a backcourt. Walter Clayton Jr. has 2,072 career points. Now, obviously, some of that was at Iona, and then the last 2 years he's been a Gator. But he's got 2,072 career points. Elijah Martin has 1,998 career points, and Will Richard has 1,649 career points. That is just preposterous to build a backcourt that has that much collective collegiate scoring. And obviously, if they're the last team standing, that will be a major reason why, maybe the reason why.
Yeah, look, I think you said it. If I'm Auburn, I'm going after the ball because Florida's had a propensity to turn the ball over. Sometimes just, quite frankly, sloppy play. Like you said, it's
unforced error.
It's what they're doing more so than what the opposing team is doing. But Bruce Pearl has seen that. You know what else Bruce Pearl saw? Bruce Pearl saw what Texas Tech did last week. You get Florida in a half-court game, make them defend in the half-court where it's not an up and down, just back and forth, just sprint, if you will. Florida had trouble in the half-court with a couple of the bigs from Texas Tech. So it depends how healthy Janai Broome is, and that's a big story here. But Broome and is it Caldwell, the other big man for Auburn, both 6'10", 6'11" guys, I would imagine Auburn's going to probably try to do what Texas Tech did. And Todd Golden knows that. And I have no doubt that they've worked on that all week. But if I'm Florida, project number one when it comes to tomorrow night, take care of the basketball because that has been an Achilles heel in the last couple of weeks.
Another story coming out of San Antonio today, and then I want to get it to an important local hoops note for JU and for Florida State. Cooper Flagg, Player of the Year. Any surprise there?
No, he's amazing. He's going to be the number one pick in the draft. I mean, for people that actually haven't seen him play, if you watch that Houston game tomorrow night, he is just a spectacular basketball player. And that guy is the number one pick in the NBA draft, and there's not even a conversation to be had.
Where does he rank, like, over the last 10 NBA drafts? Where do you think he would fall in terms? I would assume he's behind Wemby.
Yeah. You see, here's the thing is, I mean, from a prospect, I mean, look, he's one of the best ones, but, you know, let me defend my guy here. Paolo from Duke went number 1. I honestly, that was a miss for me. I didn't want the Magic to select Paolo. I wanted Jabari Smith, who has been fine with Houston. But, like, Paolo Banchero is outstanding. I mean, if Cooper Flagg turns out to have the first 3 years that Paolo Banchero's had, he's an absolute home run. So I don't know if I'm going to say he's going to be better than Paolo. I think he might be projected to be better than Paolo. I mean, Paolo had 33 and 18 last night for the Magic. I mean, he is a stud right now. So I think that's going to be the guy he's kind of linked to. Different games, sort of, but same college. Both guys are going to go number 1. I think there'll be a comparison there.
Cooper Flagg this year averaging 18.9 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. He became the 4th freshman to win National Player of the Year. Zion did it. Anthony Davis did it for Kentucky, and Durant did it for Texas. And AD obviously won a national title that year at Kentucky. So and that's the greatest college basketball team I've ever seen with my own eyes. Was covering the Gators that year and for the Times-Union. And that Kentucky team was just – and Anthony Davis was completely the star of the team, but they were about as loaded as a basketball team as I've ever seen. A local note, what did you think of Robert McCray going from JU to Florida State in the portal?
Yeah, it's a nice get for Florida State, a nice get for that new coaching staff. Obviously, Florida State trying to establish themselves. And, you know, you're seeing that more and more, and we've talked about it, the fact there are over 1,200 players in men's basketball in the portal. Even though the season is still going on, guys are committing, but a guy like McCray will certainly help Florida State. I saw Gillespie from Maryland, the guy that Florida just beat. Did you see he committed to Tennessee this afternoon? Okay. So there was some thought he was going to go to Villanova with his head coach, decided not to, so Florida's going to have to deal with him next year, the point guard from Maryland to Tennessee. And, again, I hate that, and we talked about it yesterday. I hate that from a Gator perspective that they can't be active in the portal. But they got a little bit bigger fish to fry beginning tomorrow night in San Antonio. But back to McCray, good get for Florida State, and we'll see if they can build that roster up a little bit.
Absolutely. Robert McCray averaged 18.4 points per game 2 years ago. This past season, he averaged 16.2. We've obviously seen him at Rumbles, and, I mean, he is just a guy that can go score. I mean, he is just a consistent scorer. He's assertive, has a great all-around game, so that is an outstanding pickup for Florida State. Luke Laux, the new head coach, and obviously took advantage of, he hired a JU assistant, Coach Fly, over to Tallahassee, and so I'm sure that relationship helped. But it should also help Robert have a smooth transition to being a Nole.
The fact that, I mean, I'm going to single out JU and UNF here, but you can single out hundreds of schools in the non-quote power conferences. I mean, they're a feeding system for the big boys now, and where we are in NIL and stuff. And I think that's kind of a shame. I mean, Chaz Lanier is a prime example. Coach from UNF, and you see what he did at Tennessee. I mean, I get it, you know, NIL and bigger schools, more opportunity, but it is a shame that a guy like at JU or UNF or hundreds of other schools around the country, the moment they do anything to get on a radar, they're gone, you know, the next week, the next month.
Yeah, without a doubt. When we return, I'm still holding out hope that maybe Travis Hunter gets to 5, even though I realize it is probably going to take a minor miracle for that to happen. But Colorado did have their pro day today. Travis Hunter didn't do a whole lot, but there was an interesting scouting story that came out from our good friend Bob McGinn. Does an outstanding job. He's covered the draft for like 41 years, and his position by position breakdown is outstanding. Well, today they got to corner, and a lot of scouts that McGinn talked to weighed in on Travis Hunter, where he should play, and what kind of prospect he is. We will share those thoughts with you. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, Equal housing lender.
Catch Gators basketball on 1010XL.
The Gators' trip to the top makes one more stop in the Lone Star State. Florida Auburn, Saturday at 5:30 on 1010XL.
This is Hays Carlyon for Harrell & Harrell. I was at lunch with my good friend Holt, and he was telling me that sometimes a lawyer can get more from a case than their own client. I was surprised to hear this, but Holt said that doesn't happen with Harrell & Harrell. They'll never take a fee that is greater than their own client. When they say they treat their clients as a person and not a file, they mean it. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harrell & Harrell at 904-251-1111. That's 904-251-1111.
Duck Air Conditioning is here to save the day with a free AC system inspection. Call now, 904-862-6769. Duck Air Conditioning, duckduckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Okay, sports fans, Hicken here. Let's talk skin. I and Beaches Dermatology are reminding you all to wear your sunscreen. Spring is here, and that means more time outside. Grabbing the clubs for your tea time? Bring the screen. Heading out on the boat? Bring the screen. Headed to the beach? Definitely bring the sunscreen. All in all, make sure sunscreen is included in your outdoor activities. If you have any concerns now, give Beaches Dermatology a call. I've been seeing them for years, and my skin thanks me for it. Call today online at beachesdermatology.com.
Your Jacksonville Sharks are back and ready to take the field for the 15th anniversary season. The Drive for Five starts Sunday, April 6th as your Sharks take on the Las Vegas Nighthawks. Ask about special ticket pricing for all you sports teams at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Go Sharks! Prosser here. Sharks football is back. Come celebrate the 15th anniversary season this Sunday, April 6th, as the Sharks take on the Las Vegas Nighthawks in their home opener at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Already 1-0, the Sharks look to crush Vegas on Pirates and Princesses Night. Have some family fun and break out your best pirate hat or tiara.
We're not but humble pirates.
For tickets and special pricing for youth sports teams, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's jacksharks.com or 621-0700.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you become more active, reach your weight loss goals, and find your inner strength. Membership at the Y includes state-of-the-art facilities, a huge variety of fitness classes, and programs for all ages. It's easy to join the Y since it's affordable for all incomes. The Y is a great place to make connections and experience something new. Visit the YMCA near you or online at fcymca.org.
I'm Max Fink on your Gator station. 1010XL is your pipeline to Gator Nation. Listen to the Gator Report all year round.
Freshened up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators. 1010XL.
Go Gators! Getting a pool? David Garrard here. I just did. But before they dug, I called Clearwater Irrigation, and they capped off all my sprinkler lines so the pool company could just dig away.
Then when your pool's finished, we'll install your sprinkler system back to full coverage.
And now my backyard oasis is getting watered beautifully.
And maybe then, Dave, I could take another quick dip.
Bigger swimming trunks, John. Much bigger.
Clearwater Irrigation.
And drainage, too.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now back to a Big Chief Tire Friday on The Frangie Show. Big Chief Tire. Visit BigChiefService.com.
JJ LaSelva in the groove as he is now playing John Fogerty for us. So he is He is hot right now, Hacker. He is hot. I don't know what he's got in store for us beyond this, but he's on quite a roll right now.
Fogarty does it for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta love this. Rock and roll girls?
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. You and I have something in common, from what I've been told.
Okay.
Aren't we going to the same venue out in Las Vegas? In the
We
next couple?
are.
Yeah,
How about that?
You're hitting the Sphere, next week?
I think I'll be at the Sphere a week from today, actually.
Okay,
I think,
nice.
yeah, we're my wife and I are going out with a couple other couples to Vegas to see the Eagles at the Sphere. And I want to say it's Friday night.
We need to lay the groundwork. Give me a scouting report.
I'll give you a scouting report. I'm looking forward to it. And you're going next month.
Mid-June.
Mid-June,
Yep.
okay.
My wife is maybe the biggest Kenny Chesney fan on the planet. So not only do I get to go one time to the Sphere, I get to go twice to the Sphere on the same trip, as we're going to 2 different concerts with Kenny Chesney. Yeah, but that's what we're doing, apparently. That's the itinerary that I got.
That's very cool. Yes,
I hope Little Hack doesn't have to go to college.
Yeah, yeah. It's
or need a car. Or
hey, they'll get a scholarship.
Pay the
They'll
rent.
be fine.
It's our one big. Heidi puts up with a lot during football season. I think all our wives put up with a lot during football season. So it's the least I can do to take her to Vegas for a couple of days.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun, hopefully. And yes, I will give you a full scouting report on how it went, but can't wait to see the Eagles at the Sphere. Should be a lot of fun. I wanted to talk about Travis Hunter. And again, that was a fun conversation for about a week when we were dreaming about him falling to 5. I really don't think there's much of a chance that happens. But so this is more just about him as a prospect and how rare he is, because I thought this was really interesting. Bob McGinn has covered the draft for 41 years. He does his work now for Go Long, so I would encourage you to go check it out. And he does a positional breakdown each day. This is like part 10, the corner. And the headline is The Generational Talent of Colorado's Travis Hunter. And McGinn, what I like about McGinn is he gets scouts that will absolutely trash prospects. So it's rare to see positive comments throughout. Normally, like the first couple are positive, and then like the last 3 are not positive at all. And sometimes it's just outright negative. Even though these are the best, they do about like a top 10. He ranks them, and then there's some spillover guys. But I thought it was really interesting what Bob wrote about Travis Hunter. And he went back first off and started with the comparisons that the scouts that he talked to, which are many, drew comparisons with 3 Hall of Famers: Deion Sanders, not surprising, Charles Woodson, and Champ Bailey. And so it was interesting going through. McGinn talks about what those 3 did in college in terms of playing on both sides of the ball. Deion returned punts during his 4 seasons at FSU, but never played offense. He ran track for the Seminoles, qualifying for the U.S. Olympic trials in the 100 and 200 meters, and played 2 seasons of collegiate baseball and 1 month of minor league baseball as a center fielder. At 5'11" and 182 pounds, Sanders ran the 40 at the combine in 4.29 seconds, then was chosen 5th in the draft. His 2-way work in the NFL, this is Deion Sanders, included 60 receptions for 784 yards and 3 touchdowns. So really not much on offense, considering how long Deion Sanders played, all the different teams that he played for. And I don't really even remember him much playing offense as a kid. So I was even a little surprised it was that much. But certainly 60 catches for 784 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's like, I'd say, a mediocre season for a receiver. So not much there. In terms of Woodson, Charles Woodson, who obviously, like Travis Hunter, won the Heisman, he only returned punts at Michigan, or not only returned punts at Michigan, but caught 21 passes for 370 yards and 3 touchdowns. So not outstanding offensive production at Michigan, and which, again, it was illuminating to read this, because I kind of remember him being a little bit more of an offensive player that year. I mean, again, you're going back to 97.
Right.
So, a long time. But I thought that was interesting. And then in the NFL, like, Woodson basically never played offense. He only had 2 career catches in his Hall of Fame career. He was a defensive player, which gets us to Champ Bailey. So Bailey was in the 99 draft and did play receiver at Georgia, but again, really didn't have a ton of production. His senior year at Georgia. He caught 47 passes. He carried it 16 times. But and then in the NFL, Champ Bailey only caught 4 passes. So, I mean, just to, again, put it in perspective of what Travis Hunter might be trying to do at the NFL level, Deion Sanders, Charles Woodson, and Champ Bailey could not do it. Could not do it.
Yeah.
And so, again, I'm not saying Travis Hunter can't, and I don't think Bob is saying that he can't. But it's just that's the bar that Travis Hunter is trying to go over. 3 Hall of Fame guys, and frankly, 3 pretty easy. I mean, Deion, first ballot. Woodson and Champ Bailey, I don't think waited long. I don't know that they were first ballot.
Woodson might have
been, but it could. They weren't waiting decades, for sure.
No.
And so anyway, then it gets you to the profile of the athlete, and I thought it was really interesting. These scouts are anonymously quoted, but it's interesting what they have to say about Travis Hunter. The first one says, like with Deion, I think you could spot him as a receiver, but put him where he's going to be an all-pro. He's explosive in that 7, 15, 20-yard range. You see him making a burst on the ball. He's not going to be a 4-2-7 guy. I can guarantee you that. He's not Deion, but he can man cover. That's what he can do. Don't get me wrong. He could play well on offense if he wants. Great hands and ball skills. Everything's there. He won't be known for his tackling ability, but he might be the number 1 player in this draft over Carter. The second scout comes in and says he's a better receiver than corner. And again, McGinn mentions that he thought about putting him at both, but ultimately decided for his draft preview to put him as a corner, but did say had he put him at receiver, he would have been the number 1 receiver on the board. Another scout says, as a receiver, he's quick as blank. I mean, explosive. His hands are rare. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody catch a ball like he does. Doesn't have a lot of big plays downfield. That's really the only thing you don't see, and a lot of that is in the way that they use him. More of a press guy as a corner. When he's off, you see him a little bit turned around and not great change of direction, but might have the best hands ever for a corner. And run support, he's not the toughest, but you learn to live with that. There's some more in here, but just your thoughts on Travis Hunter and the what he could possibly be as an NFL superstar.
No, he's not going to play 100 snaps a game. I mean, I see people saying he'll be a full-time wide receiver, a full-time DB. No, he's not. Because you just laid it out. You're talking about 3 of the best defensive backs that have ever lived in Deion Sanders, Charles Woodson, and Champ Bailey. And they didn't try to be a full-time offensive player. They were just really, really, really good at being a defensive back, which is where I think Travis Hunter's ultimately going to land. Can you use them on packages every once in a while and wrinkles every once in a while? Sure. But I do not expect him to, have 60, 70, 80 catches and also be an all-pro as a defensive back. That's just living in la-la land. And one thing to remember, too, I mean, look, take nothing against Travis Hunter. He's a great, great player. But you can do that when you're playing Iowa State. You can do that when you're playing Kansas State, or no offense to Coach Campo, the Kansas Jayhawks in the Big 12, all right? If he gets drafted by Cleveland, are you going to do that against the Baltimore Ravens? Are you going to do that against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals? I highly doubt it. So I think Travis Hunter is going to be a very good player, probably a Pro Bowl player, and who knows, one day he'll be an All-Pro, and maybe he'll be in Canton, Ohio as a defensive back, like Bailey, like Woodson, like Deion Sanders. But for people that think he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver and a top 10 DB, no way, no how. I cannot imagine that happening.
Well, and that was what I thought was so enlightening with this, is that you're talking about Deion Sanders, Champ Bailey, and Charles Woodson, who could not do it. And again, Deion had 60 catches, 780 yards in his career. I mean, it would be great, like in this era of like Shohei Ohtani, what he's been able to do in baseball and doing things that we haven't seen since Babe Ruth. It'd be great for the NFL, like, to have a player like this. If Travis Hunter really could be great at both.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I just don't see how it can be done.
So Cleveland drafts him, and they're going to play him on offense opening day, and he goes out there and has 3 catches on the opening drive, and it's great. And then they punt the ball, and guess what? Now he's got to cover Jamar Chase.
Right.
You're telling me he's going to be ready to cover Jamar Chase? Or better yet, he's drafted by the Giants at 3, same scenario, opening day, and now here comes CeeDee Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys. That's why it's a pipe dream, man. That's not going to happen.
I'll give you a couple more from these scouts. So a third scout that talked to him again about Travis Hunter, and again, this is on Go Long, says, we ended up with him on the corner board because we felt like there were a million receivers and there's 8 corners. He's sizable enough, even though he's somewhat narrow. He is just kind of out there playing right now without a lot of technique. If he will really zero in on the technique, he can be sensational. He's willing to tackle. He's not 6'1", 205. He's a little bit more on the slender side. Another scout says, I'd play him at corner just because I think you can find receivers. I haven't seen a whole lot of guys like him, really. They went out of their way to have him win the Heisman. His overall play speed is good, but I don't expect him to run 4.3. The body type is a little bit of a turnoff. He's kind of lanky, but he is a shutdown corner, loose, fluid hips, really smart, great feet, and will tackle if he has to. Pretty good receiver, too. And then the final scout here, and again, you keep waiting for, if you read this enough, there's always like 1 or 2 scouts that really just don't like the kid. Like, and so I'm waiting for that. The next scout says, the best corner I have done in my career is Champ Bailey, and Travis is right up there with him. I wouldn't say he's better, but he's really good. I had him as a corner at the beginning of the year, but then the more I watched him, I started getting excited about the receiver. I kind of like him as a receiver. He's probably the best player at both positions. So anyway, it's just going to, wherever he ends up, I think it's just going to be really cool to see what he can do. And if the team that drafts him gives him the chance, and I think you almost have to, because he's been vocal about wanting to try it. So if you draft him and then only let him play on one side of the ball, I think you do have to worry about hurting the relationship early on.
Yeah, no, I mean, if he wants to try it, I think you got to be very, very careful, because it'll be Monday morning quarterbacking at its finest. You know, if he goes out there as a wide receiver and has a high ankle sprain week 1 and is out for a month already, then it's going to be like, well, why did we do that? Be the best version of Travis Hunter you can be as a defensive back or a wide receiver. I personally think he's going to be a DB. I think it's easier to be a DB and then come in situationally as a wideout, as opposed to being a wideout and coming in situationally as a DB. That's not going to work. I think you can do a DB to a wideout in a situational role, which is where I think it'll land. And no, I think he might have 10, 15, maybe 20 catches for a given year. But I hear people saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler, a wideout, and he's going to be a Pro Bowler, a defensive back. No, he is not. Yeah, I just don't think he's going to be given that opportunity. He might want that opportunity, but reality tends to smack you pretty quick in the face when you have to prepare every week to go against Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or Brian Thomas Jr., and you also have to prepare to run 35, 40 routes as a wide receiver. No one's ever done it in the NFL. There's a reason why no one's ever done it.
Well said. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to stick with the Jaguars and the NFL. Our good buddy Pete Prisco of CBS Sports is going to join us. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make, and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is, and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
Watch this. The ignition code.
1010XL. Jacksonville Sports Radio.
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles Update. Our next in-store signing is getting closer with Jaguars linebacker Ventrell Miller. Saturday, April 12th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. He'll be inside Showtime. Advance tickets are on sale for Jags linebacker Ventrell Miller on Saturday, April 12th. Showtime, Sports Cards and Collectibles. Update your collection.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to divorcemenonly.com. Divorcemenonly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home this weekend at the newly renovated VyStar Ballpark. Join us tonight for fireworks and tomorrow at 6:35 for more fireworks. Presented by Oaks RV Resort. Catch on the field and free face painting before the game on Baptist Health Sunday Family Fun Day at 3:05. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball. Affordable family fun.
When you hear Florida Gators baseball on 1010XL, it's brought to you by Renewal by Andersen, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators, and Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron, totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens, also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings, and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
Dan and Jeff take you down the fairway with the PGA Tour professionals.
Keep an eye on this one.
Brunch with the Tour.
Tour news, tips, and inside info. Brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation. 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Enhance your home with Renewal by Andersen's superior craftsmanship and timeless design. Right now, get $300 off all windows or $825 off patio doors. Plus, zero down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months, but this offer expires April 30th. Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. Springtime weekends are back to being filled with baseball. Here in Jacksonville, the Jumbo Shrimp will resume their series with the Worcester Red Sox at VyStar Ballpark tonight. First pitch at 7:05, and don't forget, it's Firework Friday. Over in Gainesville, the 23rd ranked Vanderbilt Commodores are coming to town to take on the Gators, with the series kicking off tonight at 6:30. They'll play it Saturday at 1 and Sunday at noon, with both games airing on 10:10 a.m. The Gators have won 4 straight home series against Vanderbilt going back to 2016. And finally, in Tallahassee, the 4th-ranked Florida State Seminoles hope to continue to play great ball as they're set for their series this weekend with Wake Forest starting tonight at 8, followed by Saturday at 4 and Sunday at 1. It's 83 degrees at 5:01. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Time for all things Jaguars and NFL with Pete Prisco. The Prisco Report, presented by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Showtime.
On the Frangie Show.
We do appreciate our friends at Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. They are now an official PSA dealer, professional sports authenticator. 2 days per week, you'll be able to bring your cards into Showtime and have them submitted for PSA grading. That is Wednesday 1 to 6 and Sunday 12 to 5. So take advantage of that. We always love being at Showtime. They do a fantastic job. It's one of my favorite places to take my son Jackson, and we always have a ball. But we are pleased to be joined now with CBS sports writer, senior writer, Pete Prisco. Pete, how you doing?
Good. What's up, guys? How are you?
Good. We are doing great. Did you get a chance to watch The Hunt by any chance?
I did.
What'd you think?
I texted Tony Baselli and told him that he doesn't sound like the same guy who said sport coats 22 times when he was on the air with me. He couldn't say, remember that? He couldn't say, he did an ad for like a company there and he couldn't say sports coats, but he sounds a lot better on that thing, I'll tell you that.
Well, I'll tell you, Pete, I was surprised too, man, watching it. Tony talking about the similarities to 1995, ground zero, or, an adjective before zero that we can't say. But the bottom line is that sounds like to me that this is the midst of a rebuild, is it not?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you don't bring back any of your own guys, free agency, that's, exhibit A, and they will probably get rid of more guys. I mean, look, you had to have a rebuild. It wasn't a good football team, and they have a lot of holes. They had to address a bunch of those holes in free agency, and now you got to have a good couple of drafts. This one is big, but you also have to have a good one next year, and they have a lot of picks in the next 2 years. So, it's not like building an expansion team, but it is a rebuild, and it's a rebuild that you have a quarterback and you have a wide receiver who's a star player and you have some good pass rushers. But so it's not a complete rebuild, but I think on the surface he's not wrong about that.
Should Walker Little be nervous, in your opinion?
Yes. I think everybody on the offensive line should be nervous. I think when you look at it, Walker Little got paid by the previous regime, not by this group, and they bring in a guy like Fred Johnson who can start at left tackle and did a nice job. So, yeah, he should be nervous. I think Ezra Cleveland, they'll probably get somebody in the draft. Unless they wanted to play McCarry over there, then they could compete with him if they did draft the right guard. I think he should be nervous. I think Hainsey will be the center. McCarry, the two starters are definite, are Hainsey and McCarry. And if the rest of those guys, including the right tackle, I think if there's going to be competition for those positions. So I think they all should be nervous.
Pete Prisco, CBSSports.com, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Pete, you look at the Jaguars as far as the 5th overall pick. With 3 weeks to go until the draft, starting to come together a little bit, right? We expect Cam Ward to go number 1. Certainly it appears Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter will be off the board. Will Campbell talk in New England is picking up, I guess. Is that a smokescreen? We'll see. But yet every mock draft you seemingly look at, it's Mason Graham, Mason Graham, Mason Graham. What's your thought on that?
Well, if the draft goes the way we think it might go, and maybe only one quarterback goes, then the Jaguars are in no man's land, and that's never a good situation. They have to hope like heck that somebody, whether it's the Giants or the Browns, and I don't think it's going to be the Browns, take Shedeur Sanders and give them an opportunity to get a different player. Because on the surface right now, I think they're going to be stuck in no man's land. And by that, I mean your choices will be Mason Graham if you want to go defensive tackle, Will Campbell if you want to go offensive guard, which is what I think he is. Then you got Genty if you wanted to go running back, McMillan if you wanted to go wide receiver, and maybe Jalen Walker if you went with an off-the-ball linebacker, which we know they have 80,000 of them, and a guy who could put his hand on the ground and rush the passer. So I think those are going to be their options if you can't get out of there. And if you can't get out of there, what do you do? And I think it's going to be a tough choice for him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it certainly could be. In terms of Ashton Genty, obviously he's an outstanding player, but at 5, when the EVP is saying publicly that they're at ground zero, is that a pick that you could justify?
There are in my book, there are 3-star players in this draft. 1 is Abdul Carter. 2, well, Travis Hunter's the best player. Hunter, Carter, if his health checks out, and Genty. And Genty's a can't-miss running back, but he's a running back. And so you have to ask yourself, if you're put in that position, if you got a great running back for the next 5 years, is it worth taking him in lieu of taking a guy who could end up being a really good defensive or offensive lineman who's going to be around for 8 to 10 years? And that's the question you'd have to ask yourself. Plus, it's a deep, deep, deep running back class. You're going to get guys in the 3rd and 4th rounds who are going to be good players and productive players in the NFL. So do you use that pick on a running back? And so I think it would be a tough choice because he is one of the best players in this draft, but he's a running back. And so I think they would be, really fighting with themselves whether or not to do that.
Pete, you mentioned no man's land for the Jaguars at number 5. Potentially it could be no man's land. What are the odds then of, say, New Orleans at 9 or even, say, Pittsburgh at 21 getting ambitious if Shedeur Sanders falls past the top 4 to maybe call Jacksonville for that 5th pick?
Or, we just talked about Genty. What if the Bears, know that the Raiders might want him and jump up to go get him? I mean, there will be possibilities, but there's only so many players that you go up and do that. He might be one of them. So you could do it that kind of scenario. So I think there might be options there. It's not a great draft at the top, which makes it tougher to move out. Ideal scenario, if that plays out the way we're saying it plays out, they trade down and maybe trade down again. I've said this time and again, I think this draft, after the first 5 or 6, 7 to 70, you're not that far off and different in terms of the players. You're going to get good players. I just don't know if you're going to get star players from those spots.
What do you think is the most realistic best case scenario for the Jaguars at 5?
Best case scenario is getting Travis Hunter. That's the best case. Probably not going to happen, but that would be the best case scenario. A guy who can add to the juice to the wide receiver room. You could play him cornerback if need be. I mean, it's going to be tough to play both positions on a full-time basis, but you could spot him in certain situations. I think that's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is if Shedeur Sanders doesn't go and you don't get a chance to get, one of those guys. I think that's the worst case scenario. And if you're stuck there, you're still going to get a good player. And Mason Graham is a really good player, and Genty's a special running back, but I don't think that's what you want to do. And look, when I watched Graham on tape, and my initial thoughts on Graham were, okay, good, tough, physical, great hands, plays like an NFL player already. And then I saw him at the Combine, and I looked at him. He wasn't very big. Now, he's gotten bigger since then. He took off weight for the Combine. And so you wonder, is that, he's on the ground a lot when you watch the tape. I think there's times where you look at him and you go, I'd like to see more from him as a pass rusher. And so you wonder if that's worth it. So are they going to be caught in a situation where they say, big guy helps us, could be a really good player, or do you take a running back who could be a star player? I think, or do you take one of those other positions? I think it's going to be a tough choice for him.
Couple more for Pete Prisco of CBSSports.com. Pete, is there a world where you think the Jaguars may go Jalen Walker even if Graham is on the board?
Yeah. I mean, they could consider that. I think, from a roster standpoint, we look at their linebacker group. They have a lot of them, but does anybody wow you? You're talking about Lloyd hasn't lived up to the hype. Maybe the new group can get it out of him, but so far he hasn't. Chad Muma barely plays. Ventrell Miller's a good run player, but he struggled against the pass. And then, Oluokun makes a lot of tackles, but I don't necessarily sit there and say he's a star linebacker. So if you could get a guy, and by the way, he could be one of those guys you move around and use him like Micah Parsons, where you play him at linebacker, you move him on the edge, you could move him around, stand him up. He could, on third down, you could put him, outside and let him rush and move Trayvon Walker inside to get some juice that way. So, yeah, I think there are possibilities where you do that. Again, though, all we've heard is they want to get bigger and tougher. And does that make you bigger and tougher? And you know, Mason Graham will make you bigger. Will Campbell will make you bigger if you played him a guard. But I don't know. I think it's, again, if I were the GM, that would be a real tough decision for me to be sitting there at 5 if those guys go off, if Carter and Hunter go off the board.
When you watch Will Campbell on tape, what stood out to you positively and negatively?
I think he's a good player. I don't know if he's going to be a great player. And, you know, by that I mean, you know, when I compare him as a left tackle, I say, okay, if you played him at left tackle, you picked him at left tackle, and he, you know, maybe he plays guard for a year and he moves to left tackle. What are you getting from him? I think you're getting Sam Baker, Matt Light, you know, those kind of guys who are good tackles but never great tackles. They were good starters but never great ones. He has a chance to be a really good guard, though. And I'm probably more apt to move guys inside quicker than most people, by the way. I think a lot of the tackles in this draft can end up being really good guards. And if you go back through history, in recent history, a lot of the guards that have been dominant guards were tackles in college, you know, Zach Martin, Marshall Yonda, you know, even Brandon Sheriff, when he was at his best, he has been a college tackle. I think you see a lot of that movement happen because guys can't handle the edge. So I think he could go inside and be dominant. I don't know he's ever going to be dominant as the left tackle.
Pete, it was pro day out in Boulder. Obviously, all eyes on Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. We were talking about Travis Hunter earlier, trying to, I guess, defy the odds of being a star on both sides of the ball in the NFL, something that basically no one has done, be a star at wide receiver and a star at defensive back. Can Travis Hunter do that?
No, he cannot. It's too taxing. It's too tough. It's, you know, you're talking about doing it against men rather than, you know, college kids. It's way too tough to do. He's a great player. And he can be a great wide receiver. He can be a great corner. I think he's a little bit better as a wide receiver. The value is playing him at corner. It used to be, but now the value is, you know, the receivers are getting more money. I would imagine he's going to want to play wide receiver, and he can be a great wide receiver. So, and then you can spot him in. If you need a, you know, big play, you want to put him in as a nickel corner to go cover a guy and man-to-man, fine, do that. But I do think, I think that he's going to really face a tough challenge to be able to play you know, both sides of the ball. I don't think it can be done, to be honest with you. I just think it's too much.
How is your better than team coming along? And can you give us maybe a player or two that's caught your eye already?
2 weeks. You got 2 weeks.
Okay.
It's coming. Let's put it this way. I mentioned Kyle McCord, the quarterback from Syracuse, to the other day on Twitter or X. He's going to be on that team.
Okay.
He's going to be the one quarterback who's on that team. I think you'll see some running backs, which I use, you know, down the line running backs. I think you'll see some of those guys with speed. Usually if you look at my team, I like guys with speed, guys who are nasty and guys who are tough. And so there will be some running backs on that team. I haven't figured out who they're going to be. I have an idea, some of them, you know, maybe Alfred Blue from Texas, the Tootin kid from Virginia Tech. Those are two guys. They both can fly. They've both caught my eye. So they're possibilities as well.
Pete, as we say goodbye, man, Cleveland and Pittsburgh right now, if the season started today, would start Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph, respectively, on their rosters. At least that's the way it looks. And if Cleveland doesn't go Shedeur Sanders at 2, do they have Kirk Cousins in their back pocket? We just don't know about it yet. And when it comes to Pittsburgh, what's the story with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I think here's a possibility. I think Rodgers is going to sign with the Steelers. I think that's going to happen. So he'll be their quarterback. They could still draft a quarterback. I mean, if they're sitting at 21, even if you have Rodgers, you need to draft a young quarterback because he's not going to be around forever. So maybe they like Dart. Dart was visiting with them today. So maybe they take Dart. As far as the Browns, I think the Browns' ideal scenario would be get Cousins after the draft. He's going to wait until after the draft because he wants to see how it plays out. He don't want to be in the same situation. If the Falcons do decide to trade him, they could always just hold on to him. And remember, there's bad blood there. He called the team out for injury issues, said they weren't reported. They weren't happy about it. That's why they picked up that $10 million option, and they could hold on to him and make him sit there. So it's not 100% definite that they're going to trade him. They could hold on to him. So what do the Browns do? Keep an eye on this one. I mentioned McCord. McCord went to the same high school as Kevin Stefanski outside of Philadelphia. And I think they like him, and maybe a second rounder or something on McCord could make sense.
Very interesting. Are you excited about the Final Four? And give us a thought, if you can, on how do you think it's going to go?
I will be astounded if Florida doesn't win the Final Four. I think they're the best team. I really do. Now, the best player is on Duke, but I think the best team is Florida. They can give you so many different looks, athletic stuff on the outside. They can go inside. They're strong. They're powerful. I think they're the best team, but can you overcome the best player? That's the million-dollar question.
Great stuff. Pete, we always appreciate it. Have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to catching up with you next week.
All right, guys, take care.
All right, that's Pete Prisco, does such a great job, CBS Sports senior writer, and a lot of good stuff there.
Former neighbor of mine here in Jacksonville.
How about that?
I didn't find that out for like 6 months. I look across the street one day, and there's Prisco walking out to his car. This was about a decade ago. Yeah, it was a shocking morning when I found out Pete lived across the street from me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When we come back on the Frangie Show, we're going to get to a lot of topics in this next segment. Just real quick, Jaden Rashada, Live Golf. Hacker has a great question about the Florida basketball program, and we might touch a little bit on spring football as well and talk about these Gator running backs. You were listening to the Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Get loose in the corner and tight on the straightaway. He got loose. Way loose. This Sunday at Darlington. This is going to be tight right here. NASCAR is tuned up by Maxie's Mechanics on 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here. Nimnick Chevrolet is proud to be an 8-time Chevrolet Dealer of the Year recipient, the only dealership in Northeast Florida to ever win this prestigious award. Earned by treating customers with courtesy, respect, and fairness, all part of Nimnick's Treating You Right guarantee. Visit NimnickChevy.com to learn more. For 3 generations, Nimnick has been the place customers keep coming back to. I've been buying my vehicles from Nimnick since 1982 because they care about their customers and are invested in our local community, including supporting walk-off charities. And all we're trying to do to help underprivileged kids learn to play baseball. Treating you right, giving back to the community, more choices and better prices for you. So who has put the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer is simple. Nobody but Nimnick. Visit their showroom off Cassett Avenue or shop 24/7 at NimnickChevy.com. Head to Nimnick today. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
This is Hays Carlyon from my friend Holt at Harold and Harold. There doesn't seem to be enough time in the day to get everything done. Then you get injured in an accident and you don't know what you're going to do. Let Harold and Harold make it easy for you. Easy on becoming a client. You can just text or email if you want. Easy on finding a doctor and getting through the process. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harold and Harold and make it easy on yourself. Call them at 904-251-1111. That's 251-1111.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Care you can see.
Is your yard starting to look a little like a jungle? Well, it might be time for a little TLC. Or how about RTC, Russell Tree Care? At Russell Tree Care, they give your trees the perfect haircut. Whether it's trimming or removing, they'll make sure your yard looks its best, all while keeping safety as a top priority. Call Russell Tree Care today and let them take care of your trees. Russell Tree Care, 844-4Mr. Wood. That's 844-467-9663. Or visit RussellTreeCareLLC.com today. Your trees will thank you.
Hunters know patience is part of the game.
Just got to keep hunting.
Jeff Lageman, Captain Kevin Faber, and Captain Kirk Waltz on the Nimnicht Outdoors Show. Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Saturday morning from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Warm weather means the beach, fishing, golf, and more. Make sure to drop into Daly's and grab a cold case to go. From Bud Light to their seltzer, from Mick Ultra to Modelo, or your favorite crafts like Old City or Sweetwater. Grab and go at your local Daly's.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Your Jacksonville Sharks are back and ready to take the field for the 15th anniversary season. The Drive for Five starts Sunday, April 6th as your Sharks take on the Las Vegas Nighthawks. Ask about special ticket pricing for all you sports teams at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Go Sharks! Prosser here. Sharks football is back. Come celebrate the 15th anniversary season this Sunday, April 6th, as the Sharks take on the Las Vegas Nighthawks in their home opener at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Already 1-0, the Sharks look to crush Vegas on Pirates and Princesses Night. Have some family fun and break out your best pirate hat or tiara.
We're not but humble pirates.
For tickets and special pricing for youth sports teams, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's jacksharks.com or 621-0700.
AC replacement? Not warming up when you want it? If your HVAC unit is close to calling it quits, make sure you call Florida Home AC. With over $4,500 in buyback and tax credits waiting for you, take advantage of it. 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now back to a Big Chief Tire Friday on The Frangie Show. Big Chief Tire. Visit BigChiefService.com.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank is on vacation. He will be back either Monday or Tuesday, depending on how Florida does against Auburn. Frank headed to San Antonio to watch the Final Four. Hacker is here. JJ is here. I am Hays Carlyon. Hacker, I want to get to a few different things, and we're going to kind of start with some bad business in the world of sports. And the college football poster child of that might be Jaden Rashada. There was some news that came out last night. I think Pete Thamel had it, that Jaden Rashada, who obviously signed with Florida, had the big NIL scandal, went from Florida to Arizona State because he claimed the Gators didn't give him the money they promised him. Didn't work out at Arizona State. Went to Georgia last year, never played. And now there's a report that Jaden Rashada taking a visit to Western Kentucky this weekend.
Wasn't there a commitment to Miami and
I think,
as well?
Commitment to Miami before signing with Florida.
I mean, look, I don't know.
He went the Cormani McLean route.
Yeah, well, kind of.
Everywhere.
By the way, Cormani McLean apparently is doing really well in spring ball for the Gators.
Figured it out, yeah.
The Jaden Rashada thing, I don't know him very well. I know people that have talked to him and that know people around him. I just think that young man has gotten some atrocious advice from people in his inner circle. I think there are some people that tried to take advantage of his talents and the whole NIL thing, and it has completely and totally destroyed any college football career he could have had.
Yeah, I had a buddy that's got a friend on the Georgia staff, and he told me last year that member of the Georgia staff, he asked him about, hey, how's Rashada doing? And the response was, we don't trust him to take out the trash.
Yeah.
So he's not, I think, very good, as evidenced by now going to possibly be a hilltopper in Western Kentucky. So we'll see. But I thought just interesting. And I guess that case, him suing Napier, and I think there was like a Napier advisor in there. I don't think the school actually was part of the lawsuit, but I guess that's still ongoing. But I can't imagine it ever really ends up getting Jaden Rashada any actual money.
No, I mean, the worst thing that ever happened to him, truthfully, was him being an absolute star at that All-Star game. Was it the Under Armour game or whichever game it was that he participated in? Because if you look at the timeline of events, he had a certain deal with Florida and things were going great, and then he goes to that All-Star game and wins like Player of the Week and was one of the best quarterbacks there, and then maybe demands went up from that point forward, and it never caught up to him, and it's just derailed from that point forward.
Yeah, without a doubt. Another bad business deal in the world of sports is the LIV Tour, and they were dealt a setback because the PGA Tour reportedly told them no merger. That the reports of the deal were that LIV was going to invest $1.5 billion into the PGA Tour. But part of those conditions, obviously all the players would be welcome back, but part of the condition would be that the LIV Tour would remain, and that's a deal breaker for the PGA Tour. And I think now the PGA Tour is operating with a tremendous amount of leverage, and I don't think they should ever merge with the LIV Tour. At one point, it looked grim, but now that the PGA Tour has been able to go out and get all this capital on their own from investors like Falcons owner Arthur Blank and a myriad of other very rich people, they don't need it. And I made this point in the handoff. And to me, this is why if I'm the PGA Tour, I would not want to have anything to do with LIV beyond the obvious of, the Saudi connection and things like that. I don't think you're at a point where you have to worry about losing any more of your talent. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone is leaving the PGA Tour now to go over to LIV. You're seeing guys like Brooks Koepka talk about, I thought we'd be further along. I mean, they're 5 years into this now, and all they've done, like we predicted, is burn hundreds of millions of dollars. No one watches. We'll see. They're in Florida this week. We'll see if maybe they're able to generate any kind of audience. But, I mean, it feels like, yes, they, at one point years ago, brought over some really big-time players, but in the 18 months since they got Rahm, all those players that they got, their star power has just fallen off a cliff, just like it would if the Saudis started a football league and they got Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, but then you didn't see them for 3 years, you'd forget how great they are. And really all you're seeing these LIV guys now is when they play in majors. And I think the PGA Tour is, look, and I was worried about their future, but I think they're doing great. The ratings are outstanding. We obviously just had an unbelievable Players Championship here. If I'm the PGA Tour, I want nothing to do with them.
Everything you said is absolutely factual, and I can't argue with any of it. And my counterpoint would be no one watches the LIV Tour. But assuming those guys are getting paid the contracts that they signed, I wonder, I mean, obviously some care, right? Because they've said they thought it'd be further along. But when you're getting paid with 9 and 10 zeros on your checks from the LIV Tour, I mean, I'd want people to watch me too and to recognize me down the street. But if my bank account looks like those guys' bank accounts, I mean, I wonder if they do really care. That's the question.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of them don't. But the ones that really, I think, thought that I'm going to go over here, I'm going to get a huge check, and in a year or two, I'm going to be back, playing in all these events.
Yeah.
I think that was a miscalculation because I just don't see LIV ever taking off. I think if it was going to, it would have already happened.
Why didn't it happen? Why did they not sign a deal with a network? Or why do you think that?
Because I think, of its origins, of where it's coming from. And I just think it's soulless golf. I mean, the PGA Tour, there's an integrity. Like the Texas Open is playing this week, and it's not a huge PGA Tour event, but this is like the 103rd one. There is just such a rich history with the PGA Tour. And it certainly didn't help Liv that like Tiger Woods didn't want to have anything to do with it. But anyway, I just think it's interesting that it seems like now the roles have flipped, and now the PGA Tour has all the leverage. And yeah, if I'm the PGA Tour, I'm not doing any sort of deal that keeps the Live Tour as a viable, even if we're both under the same umbrella and we have merged, I'm not giving Live any sort of credibility and authority in taking on their leader of their board to be a co-chairman on our board. I'm not doing that.
I'm not trying to sound totally ignorant on this, but I'm genuinely curious. If you're the Live Tour and you're paying out all this money to all these guys, and there's 40, 50 guys that they're paying reportedly just tons and tons of money. I mean, they have no sponsorships hardly, right? I mean, how are you getting, I know Saudi Arabia, I get that, but at some point, the well goes dry. How can they still afford to pay these guys?
Well, I don't think you do get it. I don't think you get how rich Saudi Arabia is.
But what is the point if you're not getting any exposure, if you're not getting any deals, sponsorships, et cetera? Why would they keep doing
They
this?
want to make their country and government seem very Western and seem like it's us and France and England and like respectable, and we're, just like everybody else. That's what they're trying to do.
The well won't run dry, to JJ's point, but your point is a great one in terms of, but when do you just get to the point where you're like, why would we continue to lose $400 million a year on this? I mean, it's obviously not working. And so can they lose $400 million for another 50 years? Yeah, they could, but they have the resources to do that. But,
must be nice.
But yeah, exactly.
And
but,
it's not just golf. I mean, they dump money into soccer. They bought Cristiano Ronaldo. Like they
Well, I told you about the WWE.
Created like a league out of nothing and spent like hundreds of millions of dollars to bring over like primo talent from Europe. And that like WWE, boxing, they pay like massive figures to get none of the big fights are in Vegas anymore. They're all in Saudi Riyadh. So like they're doing this with that Formula One, I'm sure is in Saudi Arabia. I don't know, but I'm sure it is.
See, but it's like the WWE, again, I don't know how many people go to this Live Tour events, but I'm willing to bet it's not 75,000. I mean, they'll pack 75, 80,000 into these stadiums in Saudi Arabia. And these people are spending bundles and bundles of money on merchandise and concessions. And I mean, that you make money off of that. I don't know how they're making money off the Live Golf Tour. Or maybe they just don't want
They don't make money off of it. And yeah, it was a perception that the reason they did it is what JJ is saying. They wanted the perception of them globally to improve because of the regime and what they've done. But anyway, not to get us so far down that rabbit hole. I love where the PGA Tour is now from a position of strength where they can tell Liv, thanks, but no thanks. Where there will be no merger unless you're willing to, give us even more concessions than what you already are. And I don't think they should, and I don't think they'll have to, which is great. You had a really interesting basketball question in regards to the Gators, and go ahead and give our listeners that.
Yeah, I was thinking out loud earlier. It's the sixth Final Four for the University of Florida. They've obviously won 2 national championships. The other 3 times they've been to the Final Four, they lost. They lost the national semis in '94 to Duke. They lost the national title game in 2000 to Michigan State. And they lost the national semis to UConn in 2014. And I guess my question was, of those 3 losses, look, we all hope Florida wins tomorrow night. And hopefully it's not a 4th loss in a Final Four. But the previous 3, 94, 2000, 2014, which loss at the time, and maybe even since the time, has been the most painful for Gator Nation?
My answer was 14, because that team, I thought, had such a great heart to it with Pat Young and Will Yeget, who you had on your show earlier this week.
We're going to replay that tonight, by the way.
Oh, cool. Yep. And Prather and Chioza and all the guys, or not Chioza. Was Chioza on that team?
Wilbekin was on the team, yeah.
That's who I meant. That team I thought was really special, and I thought they were going to win it all. Because they'd won 30-something in a row.
They went
to that
undefeated
point,
in the SEC.
Yeah, didn't lose an SEC game. 94 to me was they were playing with a lot of house money on that run. Because that was one of those just the individuals I don't think were necessarily spectacular players, but the sum of the team was something incredible. So in 94, it kind of felt like they were sort of lucky to have gotten to that point. And then in 2000, I think it was, for me, Billy was still so young. You just sort of felt like there would be more of this to come. Maybe that they had arrived a little earlier than maybe what you thought, because they really hadn't had much NCAA tournament history with Billy. And then all of a sudden, they're in the national title game. So for me, I'd probably go 14 was the one that hurt the most of those three.
14 didn't hurt for me, at least that night, because I was in New Orleans. Because WrestleMania was the very next night, the Brock Lesnar Undertaker WrestleMania.
Oh, wow.
So I could just hang out on Bourbon Street and kind of have the libations to get my sorrows away. But I hear you. 14 was kind of a shock to the system. 94, I love the 94 team with Craig Brown and Dan Cross and Kuzma and DeClerc and DeMeat Hook, but they were lucky to be there. Grant Hill and Duke were clearly better than them and obviously won. 2000 to me probably was the most painful, because I thought after beating Duke in the Sweet 16, beating Oklahoma State in the Elite Eight, beating North Carolina in the Final Four, I mean, you go through Duke and North Carolina to get to the championship game, you think it's downhill at that point. And, man, Morris Peterson and Mateen Cleaves just took the Gators out to the cleaners that night. I forever disliked Billy Packer after that game. Billy Packer was horrible on the broadcast.
Very one-sided.
So pro-Michigan State, it was ridiculous. But aside from that, the 2001, I was just shocked that how physically dominant Michigan State was against Florida. And that, to me, honestly, probably hurt a little more than the 14 team.
Yeah, I get it. And at that point, we didn't know Tom Izzo would end up being one of the best coaches of his generation. It's still surprising that's his only title, but obviously he's been to a lot of Final Fours since that season.
Wow, is that his only title?
It's his only now. It's the last Big Ten national title.
Really?
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
That's crazy.
I do want to get a thought from you on the Gators running game when we come back. We've got one more segment to go on the Frangie Show before we hand it off to Rick Ballou. But we're going to talk a little Gators spring football just for a couple minutes. You are listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Visa in Action update on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The NCAA Men's Final Four will be Saturday in San Antonio. The first game will pit the Florida Gators against the Auburn Tigers. Florida is a 2.5-point favorite, minus 115 against the spread. Auburn getting the 2.5, minus 105. On the money line, Florida minus 155. Auburn plus 130 with the over-under of 159.5. Second game pits the Duke Blue Devils against the Houston Cougars. And Duke is a 5.5-point favorite, minus 105 against the spread. Cougars minus 115. On the money line, Houston plus 220, while Duke is minus 270 and the over-under 135.5. Earn cash back on your gaming transactions with the GBank Signature Visa Card at vsin.com/GBank. I'm Tony Desiri with your Visa in Action update on 1010XL.
Plumbing problem? AC acting up? Septic tank trouble? Don't waste time calling 3 different companies. Just call Duck Duck Rooter. We offer plumbing, septic, and air conditioning services, making it easy for you to work with one trusted company and one simple build. Every department has highly skilled experts trained for the job. For fast, reliable service from a company that does it all the right way, call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com.
At Diamonds Direct, we believe luxury is an experience and not a price tag. Luxury is expert guidance. It's the selection of 10 jewelry stores under one roof. It's saving time on endless comparison shopping, and you'll only find this experience at Diamonds Direct. Our luxury showroom has it all backed by our lifetime warranties and our signature best price guarantee. Diamonds Direct is the perfect combination of luxury and value, so you don't ever have to compromise. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce.
your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Draft season is here, and so is Mia's Mock Draft Mondays. And this year, we're powered by One Night Taco Stand. Each week, I'll unveil a new set of possible targets for the big cats on the 1010XL social channels and 1010XL.com. Let's taco about it on 1010XL.
Friendly competition meets great futures. It's the Birdies and Bounces Tournament presented by the Mackenzie Noel Wilson Foundation Friday, May 9th at the Yards. Where else can a pickleball tournament, 15 holes of golf, food, fun, beverages, raffles, and great activities help a worthy organization like the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida, where 59 clubs serve nearly 6,000 youth daily. For tickets and team registration, email Charlie C. at bgcnf.org.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Universal Roof and Contracting protects your home and your wallet. Invest in a stronger roof and save big. Right now, get 15% off roof replacement and repairs. Financing's available with monthly payments as low as $115. But this deal ends April 30th. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. This month, get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet cleaner. You'll get 25% off all cleaning services. That's right, 25% off. Check out 8,000 raving customer reviews if you don't believe me online. Call them, 904-287-5727, or visit their website, ZeroResJacksonville.com. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. $5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WEALTH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com. Powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since '87.
All right, we've had a lot of fun today. We started off talking about The Hunt, a fantastic 36-minute documentary that Jaguars Digital put together. Would encourage you to go watch that if you haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. We had the opportunity to talk to Pete Prisco about the Jaguars and the upcoming NFL draft. We always enjoy that. So it has been a lot of fun, Hack. We've got a couple minutes left before Rick will come in for the handoff. I wanted to ask you, Is Jaden Baugh being kind of slept on a little bit in terms of a star on that campus? Obviously, to your point, UF Hoops has sort of dominated the conversation. And when Florida spring football has come up, it's been Lagway and the inactivity in terms of throwing. But Jaden Baugh is a true freshman, 673 yards, 7 touchdowns, a 5.1-yard average. I mean, could he be on the verge of a superstar 1,200-yard campaign?
No, I think so. I'm very high on Jaden Baugh, and it's his barbecue this year. Obviously, Montrell Johnson has departed. Hopefully, going to hear his name called in the NFL draft in a couple of weeks. So Jaden Baugh is clearly the number one guy in Gainesville. And, yeah, I'm pretty high on him. 4/5 of the offensive line is back. Jake Slaughter, Austin Barber decided to come back. That'll certainly help Jaden Baugh. DJ Lagway, if healthy. We think he is. We hope he is. Obviously, a quarterback like that should help the run game as well. So, absolutely. I think Jaden Baugh could have a very, very big year, and we know how much Billy Napier likes to run the football.
All right, I have a very important pop culture question for you both.
Oof.
And it's separate questions. I'm going to start with you, Hack, because I've been dying to ask you this since Monday.
Okay.
And I feel like I can only get away with asking you this on the last segment of the Friday show. Who is going over at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes or John Cena?
Oh, that's going to be a big one. That is going to be a big one. Heel John Cena. He's a bad guy now. That was shocking. I mean, you got to give it to Cena, right? They're building this thing up. Cody's been the champion for a year. I think Cena wins, but there are some shenanigans in play, if you will. I think interference or something happened to have Cena get the victory.
From The Rock?
From The Rock.
Because Cena and The Rock are aligned.
Yeah, or CM Punk, maybe?
Wow.
Something like that.
I'm not expecting it to be all above board.
Yeah,
Will a steel chair be involved?
A steel chair or something. The referee will be knocked down. He won't be able to get up. Absolutely.
They always turn their head for so long, these refs.
So you like Cena in the main event?
I like Cena in the main event.
Okay, JJ, are you ready for your pop culture question? You probably know where I'm going
hope it's not WWE related.
It
I
is
haven't
not.
been keeping up since WCW days.
It is not. So who will be the fatality in White Lotus's season finale Sunday night?
So I think that it's going to be multiple. I think like someone from the family is going to go unrelated to the what's the guy's name who we know from the other seasons who had his wife murdered?
Oh yeah. I don't know.
I think that there's going to be like he's going to have
Greg. I
think he's going to have the American lady killed.
Okay.
Or shot at or something. But then I also think there's going to be something involving that family from Texas as well.
Right.
That's totally separate. And I think that's going to be like the twist is, oh my God, there's been a body in both, two separate storylines. And,
what do you think the over-under is on people that die in the finale? I set it at 1.5.
I was going to say 2.
Okay.
I think there'll be 2 bodies.
I tend to agree with you. I'm very eager. Are you a White Lotus fan?
Sounds like a real wholesome program.
It's fantastic.
It is great.
It's fantastic.
No,
this is the 3rd season.
I actually am not. I just discovered Prison Break on Netflix.
Wow.
That's where I'm
about
at.
20 years too late.
I'm about 8 episodes into season 1.
Great show.
I'm a little behind, but I do like Prison Break.
It was an awesome show when it aired.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. That's it. That's all I needed to know. I will go into the weekend in peace now. John Cena in the main event at WrestleMania, and JJ thinks like me that there will be multiple people and probably in different little. They've got like 4 different storylines going in this show. It's really well done. So,
is this on the streaming platform?
It's on HBO Max.
Oh, it's
whatever
on
they call
HBO
that.
Max. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So it'll be a lot of fun. Give us your final prediction, Final 4.
Oh man, I've tried to get there, Hayes. As I told you earlier in the week, I wanted to get there. I'm going to take Auburn, man.
Okay.
I'm going to take Auburn. I hope I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll be very ecstatic. But something just smells to me about Auburn having a good game. I don't think they played particularly well in February against Florida, and I think they get major revenge tomorrow night.
JJ, who do you think?
I'm going to go Gators, Duke, but I think Duke, well, I guess I'll hold till Monday night. But I'm going to go Gators, Duke.
Gators and Duke. Okay, I like the Gators and Duke as well. I'll say Florida wins 83-80. I think it'll be a fantastic game. And I'll say that it's not Clayton this time that rescues them. I'll say Elijah Martin makes a play late that is the play of the game.
Remember this stat. Denzel Aberdeen, like I told you earlier in the week, The Gators are 24-0 when Denzel Aberdeen makes a three-pointer.
It's incredible.
So here's hoping Denzel Aberdeen makes a three.
Yep.
Florida's also 25-0 when they lead a game at halftime this year.
It is amazing. It's been an incredible run, and hopefully it'll continue for a few more days. Let's get it to this.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Rick Ballou, do you have any thoughts on the White Lotus or WrestleMania?
White Lotus is great. I haven't seen the new series.
You'll like it.
Yeah.
You'll like it.
Is this series 3 now?
This is season 3, yep.
Yeah.
And the finale Sunday is 90 minutes. Should be fantastic.
I love the husband with the wandering eye in, I think, the second series. He's just like, he's just the guy in the neighborhood that you want to hate. But I kind of like guys like that.
Yeah.
By the way, I've noticed some. You guys are breaking down, doing all these hoops, and then right when it's time for the handoff, and you know I'm walking through the door, let's go through this one more time. Who do you like tomorrow night, Florida or Auburn? It's like, you guys are just trying to boil my blood.
You guys got a great commitment today. Robert McRae from JU. Big-time player going to the Knowles. I mean, in all seriousness, last 2 years, he's averaged 18.4 points and 16.2 points a game for the Dolphins.
And you know what? They went to UNF and got 2 of their really good baseball players. And that's we don't talk enough about that, regardless of the sport. That's the worst part of this transfer portal is that this tournament used to be so great, back when before Gonzaga was a blue blood, and you had the Winthrops and you had the James Madisons and schools like that. What they did is they had fifth-year seniors and fourth-year juniors who've been there forever, and then finally they get hot because they played so many games. You get good now as a freshman or sophomore. One of these power conferences, doesn't matter what the sport is, baseball, football, or basketball, they're going to come and take you.
Without a doubt. And there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think you can really advise them to stay. How can you say that?
Right.
How can you say, no, stay here. It's better for you to stay here and make $50,000 as opposed to going to the big school and making $500,000?
There's no doubt about it. It'd be like if any of us were any good, we get picked up in like Ocala or Fort Myers. Or something like Dunwoody, Georgia,
right.
for crying out loud.
Absolutely. So. What's coming up?
Jarrett Bell is one of my favorite NFL writers, actually a columnist with USA Today, and he was in Palm Beach earlier in the week with the NFL's owners meeting. So the couple of things I want to hit with him, plus his thoughts on what happened today in Colorado and the latest on the Jags, and then we'll check the money basketball-wise with our good buddy, the Philly Godfather. That'll be later this hour.
Sounds great. We'll be listening.
Thank you.
All right, into the night with Rick Ballou up next. Hacker, thank you so much. What do you have up tonight?
Yeah, Hacker After Dark, 8 o'clock. If you missed the Sean Kelly interview, the play-by-play voice of the Gators, or will you get from that 2014 Gator Final Four team, we'll play those tonight beginning at 8 o'clock.
That sounds great. Hopefully you and I will be doing the Frangie Show on Monday. That would mean the Gators are victorious and Frank Frangie is still in San Antonio for the national championship game. But if not, it was great doing the show with you, and I'll look forward to doing it again here soon.
Hays enjoyed it, my friend.
All right, that's fantastic. You guys have a great weekend. For Hacker, for JJ LaSelva, for the vacationing Frank Frangie, thank you to Pete Prisco for joining us. I'm Hays Carlyon. Have a wonderful night, wonderful weekend. Into the Night with Rick Ballou is up next on 1010XL.